Don't cry in front of the kids. Those were the last words Mark whispered to Kelly, not because he didn't want her to feel, but because he wanted his family to stay strong, even in the darkest hour. The room was still. The air was heavy. He was weak, but his eyes were clear, full of love, full of fear. And in that single moment, Kelly realized this wasn't just another night. It was goodbye. If stories like this speak to your heart, please like this video and subscribe. We're here to share, to feel, and to heal together. That night, the house was quiet. Too quiet. Kelly had always known the rhythm of her home, the hum of laughter, the sounds of life echoing through every hallway. But that night, silence had its own heartbeat. Mark had been fading for weeks. He tried to hide it. The way his hands trembled when he reached for his coffee mug, the way his breath shortened after walking across the room. He smiled through it all, telling her it was just fatigue. But deep down, they both knew. Something had shifted. A week before, she found him sitting alone by the window, staring out at nothing. "Mark?" she asked softly. He turned, smiled, and said, "I'm just thinking." But there was a weight behind his words, a kind of goodbye she wasn't ready to face. 2 days later, the phone call came. Kelly stood beside him as the doctor spoke. Words like spread, late stage, and limited time echoed through the speaker like broken glass. Mark didn't say anything. He just reached for her hand, squeezing it until she felt his pulse. Then he whispered, "We'll tell them tomorrow." That night, Kelly didn't sleep. She sat by his bedside, watching the slow rise and fall of his chest. Her mind replayed every moment of their life together, their first apartment, their children's first steps, their late-night laughter. Now time felt like sand slipping through her fingers. The next morning, they called the kids into the living room. Kelly tried to keep her voice steady, but the tremor in her tone gave her away. Mark sat beside her, his hand resting on her knee. "Kids," he began, his voice soft but sure. "I've been sick for a while. And the doctors? They say I might not get better." Lola's eyes filled instantly. Michael looked down at his hands. Joaquin just stared, searching for an answer no one could give. Kelly couldn't speak. She pressed her lips together, tears threatening to fall. Mark looked at her and smiled. "Hey," he said quietly. "We're going to be okay." It was a lie, but it was one they all needed to hear. The days that followed felt endless. Hospital visits, medication, the sound of machines that measured every breath. Kelly became a caretaker, a nurse, a protector, and a mother holding her family together with invisible thread. Each night she would sit beside him, holding his hand long after he'd fallen asleep. She'd whisper small things like, "Remember when the kids made you that birthday cake?" Or, "You promised to take me to Italy again." He'd smile faintly, his eyes closed, and whisper, "One day." But one evening, something felt different. The light in the room seemed dimmer. Mark looked at her and said, "Come sit closer." She did. He placed his hand on hers, weak, trembling, but warm. "I don't want them to see me like this," he whispered. "Promise me, Kelly, if I go, don't cry in front of the kids." Her throat closed. She wanted to scream, to beg him not to talk that way. But instead she nodded, tears streaming silently down her face. He smiled, and that smile broke her heart. That night, Kelly stayed awake long after everyone had gone to bed. She could hear the faint ticking of the clock on the wall, every second stretching into forever. She wanted to freeze time, to hold on to one more conversation, one more laugh, one more morning coffee. But deep inside, she knew. Tomorrow might not come the same way. Just before dawn, Mark stirred. He opened his eyes slowly, looked at her, and whispered again, "Hey, don't cry in front of them. You're their strength." She leaned in, her forehead against his. "I'll try," she said softly. "But I don't know how to do this without you." He smiled faintly. "You'll figure it out. You always do." Then his breathing slowed. His hand slipped from hers, and the room fell silent. The next morning, Kelly woke to sunlight creeping through the curtains. The world outside carried on. Birds sang, cars passed, people lived. But inside that house, everything had changed. She sat in the kitchen, the same place where they used to drink coffee together. His cup was still there, untouched. She reached for it, her fingers tracing the rim. Her reflection shimmered in the surface of the cold coffee. And she whispered, "I didn't cry, Mark. Not in front of them." A small tear slid down her cheek. "But now, I miss you." That night, Kelly tucked the kids into bed. She kissed each one softly and whispered, "Dad loves you. Always." Then she walked back to the living room and sat down where he used to sit. For a moment, she closed her eyes and imagined him there, laughing, teasing her, filling the silence with life again. And for the first time since he'd gone, she smiled, because in that smile, he was still with her. She looked at the family photo on the shelf, Mark, the kids, and her, all frozen in a moment of joy. Then she whispered, "I kept my promise." If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like the video, subscribe for more heartfelt stories, and share your thoughts below. We tell these stories not just to remember, but to remind each other that love never truly leaves.